Hello and assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. This is me, Mehtab Amanwala, and I'm a student at Rehan School Online Academy. And as you know, that on daily basis we will do interviews, and when we will do interviews, so we have a very special guest in our studio. And today I am very excited to interview because I have a very special guest in my studio, and he is Mr. Chad Dumas, who is an educational consultant, author, trainer, and solution tree associate with more than 2 decades of a leadership experience at the K-12 education systems. And he has served as a wide range of roles, including teacher, professional developer, school principal, central office administrator, and a lot of other things he has done in his life. So, yeah, we are going to do very fun questions with him. So, we are going to start this interview with meet and greet session with Sir Chad Dumas. So, first of all, thank you so much for your time, sir, and welcome to my studio. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be with you and engage with your audience. I'm doing fantastic. I guess it's nighttime for you, and it's first thing in the morning for me. So this is cool.
Okay. Sir, can you first of all, I have introduced yourself, but now it's your turn to introduce yourself better because I get to know about this, about yourself. That's it. And after that, we are going to start our interview. So I request you to kindly do your best introduction than me. And after that, I'm going to ask you some questions about that.
Well, awesome, wonderful. So I started my career as a music teacher at a middle school, teaching students your age. So when you reached out, I was really excited because you're the age group of 11 to 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds that I really enjoy working with. So I'm really glad to be able to engage with you. So yeah, I taught music. Never thought I would actually teach music. I thought I would go and be a scientist or a work in international relations or something like that. But the music bug bit me, and I really loved helping other people learn how to make music. And then had an opportunity to lead adult learning in the school that I was in. Excuse me. It is still morning, so I'm still waking up. My throat is still getting woke up. So then I led some adult learning, and then had an opportunity to serve as a principal, central office administrator, like you said. And then I got my doctorate in 2010 in education. And when I did that, my dissertation was a finalist for best dissertation from the International Education Organization called PDK. And it received best dissertation from the international organization Learning Forward. And so at that time, I thought, maybe I should take it and write something that people would actually read, because not many people will pick up a dissertation and read it. And so that kind of simmered on the back shelf for quite a while. And then before the pandemic hit, I started thinking about, okay, it's time to actually do something with this. And so that's what I did then in 2020. I took and wrote a book called Let's Put the C in PLC. And it's based on that dissertation, which is PLC stands for Professional Learning Community. And so it's when adults in the school are working together to get better at what they're doing to help students learn more. And so that book is about what does the principal or headmaster need to know or be able to do to be able to make that environment happen for teachers to be able to learn together to improve their practice. And that took off. And so now I work full time with amazing educators all over the country and world, helping to get better at their practice. So about 8 hours ago, I got home from being in Florida. I was in Florida yesterday, and Sunday I go to California. So if you're not familiar with the geography of the United States, Florida is the very southeastern corner, and California is the very west, and I live in the middle. And so I just get to go all over the country and help adults. I'm working with adults, so helping the teachers to get better at what they do.
That's great. Thank you so very much for introducing me very briefly, and I get to know, and my audience get to know about yourself more and more, and that's a great. Thank you so very much for that. Okay. My next question is going to be that first of all, we are going to discuss about education system. So in Pakistan, I'm going to tell you that, like, as you know, that AI is raising very much, and now AI is going very faster in the community. But in Pakistan, in our education system, we are not doing that, because we have, we have to just read the subjects that we have: maths, English, social studies, and other subjects like that, that are in our education system. So why we are not learning AI in the different subject? In the computer subject, computer sciences, we have discussed about that. We learn about that from about the AI. But is it possible to make the AI an other subject in Pakistan, especially because uh, in Pakistan, I think so that AI is not very much raising. It is raising, but with the time we have to change in our education system to we are reading our social studies, that is the about history, and for long time. But I think so now it has to be over, and we have to change something. So am I right in this? And what do you suggest as an educationalist and educational consultant? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting how the education world tends to move at a much slower pace in change, in adopting change, than the rest of the world. And so it sounds like in Pakistan that's the case as well. That education, the rest of the world's going this fast, and education's it's the tortoise and the hare, except the tortoise or the hare is really going fast, right? So I do see a place for AI in schools, and a huge part of it, I think, is we have to understand how to use it ethically. So, and I think it's incumbent upon us as educators to help students learn how to use it ethically. So I've seen some really cool things where teachers have given students assignments to to actually, the assignment is to ask ChatGPT or ask Gemini or ask whatever AI platform this question, and then your job is to find out what's right and wrong about it as a student, because it's not always right. Right? It's just predicting. All it is it's predicting the next word, and those predictions are mostly fairly accurate, but it's not always accurate. And I'll give you an example for myself. So in the last month or so, I sent a manuscript off to an editor for my next book. A colleague and I are writing another book. And before I sent that off, I got feedback. We got feedback from the editor. And so I took that feedback and I put it into ChatGPT. And I uploaded the manuscript. And of course, I went into security, right? You can go into security and say, don't share this stuff on the web, right? So that's an important, we need to teach students that. Many adults don't know that you can tell the system, don't share. And so I went in and clicked on the don't share, and then I uploaded the manuscript and said, here's the feedback, here's the manuscript, what would you suggest? And I became so frustrated because it was not helpful. And I asked prompt after prompt after prompt, a really specific, I probably asked 15 or 20 different prompts. It never did give me anything helpful. And so so that was frustrating to me because I was wanting to leverage AI. But I think that's the type of thing too, that like if we teach students how to use AI, it's not good at generating unique ideas. It's good at predicting text, predicting what's going to come next. So I think there's definitely a role in teaching students how to think critically using AI in an ethical manner.
Okay, sir. So you emphasize this also, that like every student is every day. What is the mean by that, and how do you respond when system make this a very unrealistic?
I'm sorry, say that again. It was cutting out for me.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think we're good now.
Okay, I'm saying that like you emphasize in when I read your your introduction that you have sent it me. So I emphasize that like every student is here every day. What is the mean by that, and how do you respond when system does not respond like that, and make it unrealistic?
Yeah. So making sure that that we are meeting the needs of every kid every day, and how do you help the system be able to do that? So yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So one of the things we know from like 70 years of research, that 70 years is a longer than both you and I have been alive combined, right? So we've got a lot of evidence that says if you want to meet the needs of every kid, we have to get the adults working together to do that. And the adults have to work together in certain ways. So just because adults are in the same room breathing the same air doesn't mean that we're going to actually improve students' learning and meet every kid's need. We have to be working on the right stuff. And so that's my work with adults, is trying to help them work on that right stuff. And that right stuff is figuring out, so what do we want students to know and be able to do? So your question about AI, that's a question I pose with educators, is, so what do we want students to know and be able to do regarding AI? Let's come to clarity about that, commonality about that, and make sure that that's what we're focused on. Then the second question is, okay, so if that's what we want students to know and be able to do regarding AI, then how are we going to know that they know it? Then the next question is, okay, now we know who has it and who doesn't. What are we going to do when they don't learn it? And student by student, skill by skill. And then, of course, most of the kids probably will get it. So what are we going to do to help them extend their learning beyond? So we've set the bar with AI or whatever the matter is. Now, how are we going to extend for those kids who do have it? So those are the four, I call them four critical questions that really drives the work of teacher teams. And of course, that also applies to leadership teams in the school. So your headmaster or principal, and them thinking about, so what do we want staff to know and be able to do? How are we going to know that they know it? What are we going to do when they don't know it? And what are we going to do when they do know it? So those four questions really help us get to individual student needs. So we're making sure we're meeting their needs each and every day.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for that answering that questions. And my next question is that, like, what beliefs have you learned about about the leadership over like 2 decades?
Yeah, what have I learned about leadership? The biggest lesson about leadership I would share is that you cannot do it alone. None of us know enough. None of us are skilled enough. None of us have enough talent. We need each other. And so anybody that tries to go it alone, some people can be successful for a very short period of time. And you see this in politics. There are people who are charismatic, and for a very short period of time, and it may not seem like a short period of time to us in our 100-year lives, but in the course of history, it's a very short period of time. They become blips on a radar, right, of a few years. Very charismatic, very driven, power, they are the ones. It doesn't last. Because in order for you to have long-term, enduring, sustainable impact, it requires a team.
Okay. So does the teamwork can do that or not?
Does the what?
Does the teamwork can do that or not?
Does the teamwork?
Can do that or not?
Teamwork, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Through leveraging each other's expertise through teamwork, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, sir. So how do you reconcile high expectation with the systematic inequalities in the school,
Mhm.
and that you feel that cannot be controlled?
So you're asking like in like throughout a country?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Can that be mitigated, if you will, the systemic inequalities?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And education is the way to do that, right? One of my favorite quotes comes from the Baha'i faith, and the founder of the Baha'i faith, his name is Baha'u'llah, and he says that regard man or woman, regard people, regard man as a mine rich in gems of inestimable value. So regard us as like this mine that has all these gems in it. And then he says, education alone can cause it to uncover those mysteries and enable humankind to benefit from those. So it's education. That's it. Like we all have these jewels, each of us, and we have rubies and diamonds and sapphires and like all of us have these. The only way they can be revealed is through education. And so education is the way to be able to disrupt these iniquities that we see throughout society. Yeah.
Okay, so when you see, like, when you say philosophy, so you might be wrong in that, according to me, and you might be right in that. So what philosophy you are failed in the practice, basically, and what did you change in that? And after that, is it successful or not?
Philosophy of education.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there's there's a lot of different philosophies of education, and I probably would say that I kind of pick and choose from them what seems to work best, because I'm not sure if any of them by themselves are entirely the case, right? So there are philosophies that are more cognitive based, like if we get people thinking differently, then they'll behave differently. There are philosophies that are more behavior based, that say if we get people behaving differently, then they'll start thinking differently. And I think it's a combination. It depends on the person, and we work to figure out how to help uncover those minds, or uncover those gems in the mind of each individual.
Okay, sir. So, how to, my question is basically that how have you been in the educational field, in the as an educational consultant, when you have started that working in that field, and is it your childhood dream, or what do you want to become in your childhood, and you have become educational consultant? So I want to know about the story behind this, that how have you become the educational consultant?
That is such a funny question, Metab. I love that, because I never intended to become an educational consultant. It was not on my radar at all. I actually never even intended to become a principal. I wanted to teach music. Once I figured that out, that I wanted to teach music, and then somebody across the hall, actually within my first year of teaching, the art teacher across the hall, she said, "Chad, you should be a principal." And I laughed at her. I said, "No way, that's not even on the radar." And then, a few years later, there I was. And the as you'll find out, and your friends in school will find out, is you choose a path and you start going down the path. And I think of it like a train. If a train is sitting still, it can't change tracks. It only can change tracks if it's moving. And so it is with us in our life. So we make a decision and we move. And so I made a decision. I'm going to be a music teacher. And as I moved, then some tracks opened up, and I was like, oh, okay, professional developer. Okay, principal. Okay, central office administrator. Okay, pick up a doctorate along the way. Okay, write a book. Now I'm consulting. Write another book. I got it right. And so none of this was planned. My desire is to serve humanity. And I think education is the most impactful way that we can do that, is by raising the next generation. Because, educators, we are the profession that creates all other professions. Without us, there are no doctors, there's no lawyers, no secretaries, no plumbers, no electricians. There are no other educators. We are the profession that creates all other professions. And so my desire is to serve humanity through education, and whatever way that goes is the way it's gone. And so I'm blessed now. I mean, I've been blessed my whole career, but really, I really love what I do now, because it's everything that I loved when I was in a school, helping people become better. And I don't have to deal with anything that I didn't love, like budgets and school board meetings and internal politics and all the muck that that one has to deal with in those. I don't have to deal with that. I can just focus on helping people get better.
Okay, sir, that's great. So, how much books have you written till now, and what's the title of that? And in that book, what we can find if we read that?
Yeah. So the first book was Let's Put the C in PLC. It's right there. And so it's an action guide for school leaders. It's a practical guide for school leaders. And then after that, then I wrote an action guide for that book with reflective questions and challenge exercises um, to be able to put that into practice. So that was my second book. My third book then was the Teacher Team Leader Handbook. And that just came out last March or April, something like that, March or April of 2025. And so that is for teacher team leaders. And then this next book that's in the hopper that I don't have an exact timeline on, I'm guessing it'll come out in the fall, is for school leadership teams. We call them guiding coalitions, school leadership teams of teachers and principals to help the school become a PLC. And we call that a guiding coalition. And so it's for those teams to help make the school into that collaborative environment that I was talking about earlier, that we've got 70 years of research. If you want to improve student learning, get the adults working together. Well, how do you do that? That book is a how-to guide for that leadership team.
Okay, sir, that's great. Okay, so what tensions exist between the collectiveness and collaborations, decisionness, and in making decision and in collaboration? What difference you see as an educationalist?
Differences between collaboration and making decisions?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So actually, the Teacher Team Leader Handbook that's behind me talks through that. That it's really important for teams to be clear about how they're going to make decisions. So so that we don't just get caught in talk, right? Because talk doesn't go anywhere. It's action that gets us somewhere. And so one of the things that's important for teams is to be clear about what their outcomes are. So just as when you go into class and the teacher says, okay, today, this is our outcome. This is what we're going to learn today. A team needs to do the same thing. Okay, so today in our 45-minute meeting, our outcome is to make a decision on X, Y, and Z, or it's to learn about A, B, and C. So being really clear up front about what the outcomes for the meeting are is key. Having roles for the adults. So like in your classes, maybe your teacher says, okay, when you're in this collaborative group, who's going to be the timekeeper? Who's going to be the facilitator? Who's going to be the note taker, right? Same thing in an adult meeting. Same thing. Who's going to be the timekeeper? Who's going to be the note taker? Who's going to be the facilitator? Same thing. So that way, when we get to the end of the meeting, we know somebody's going to say 5 minutes before, hey guys, we got 5 minutes. We need to make a decision on this. And then the facilitator says, okay, so what's our decision? And the note taker takes notes on it. So that way, the purpose of the team is to take action. And so if they don't have those set up, just like we do for students, as adults, we're not going to be able to take action. And then the collaboration is a waste of everybody's time.
Okay, sir. Now, can you tell me that, like, handling people is sometimes very difficult, sometimes very easy because the peoples are from different cultures. So, how do you handle staff when, in a collaborative meetings and in results? How do you handle that with different cultures? And how is it possible for me to handle that? Because, as I'm facilitating the class, because I have to I have to handle the class of minimum, I think so, 30 students. That is, I
How
have
many?
to,
How many
can you hear me?
students? Yeah.
I
How
can't
many
hear you.
students? You said a minimum of how many students?
30.
30. Okay, good.
Okay, they are same, like my age is 15, or I think so smaller than me too, like 10 to 11 years old. So how I can handle them very good, because handling all the students at the same time is very difficult for me at this age. Because when we are big, we have better communication skills and better something, we are. But as in my age, how can I handle that students, and how do you handle staff who has been are from different collaborative cultures?
Yeah. Oh, that's a brilliant question, Mehtab. I love that. And maybe my fifth book needs to be co-written with you. And we take this ideas from the teacher team leader handbook, and it becomes a student team leader handbook. Because I think you're really hitting on something here, that there's maybe a need for this. How do you help students who are in a team leader role to be able to do this, especially with different cultures? So I think there's a lot of application across. So there are things that are universal, doesn't matter the culture. And then there are things that are specific to cultures. And so I think honing in on those universal things first. Let's make sure that, regardless of the culture, let's be clear about that. So, for example, some things that are universal is the pause. Across all cultures, 100%, pausing, breaking, creating silence or space is universal. It allows for people to think. That's because biologically our brain needs time to think. The prefrontal cortex is the slowest part of the brain. It's like 70 microseconds slower than the amygdala, which is the reptilian part of the brain that reacts, right? And so if people are reacting and they're not giving their brain time to think, we're not getting the best from them. So pause. And you notice I've done that a couple of times just in the last 30 seconds. Correlated to the pause is breathing. I've taken a couple of nice deep breaths as part of these pauses that I've put in there. In all likelihood, you, Mehtab, and your listeners have taken some pauses as well, as taken some deep breaths. Why is that important? Because the brain needs oxygen. The prefrontal cortex, slowest part of the brain, it takes longer for the oxygen to get there. It's the furthest away from the heart. It takes longer to get there. It's got to. So some skills like pausing, like breathing, taking an auditory breath that I don't know if you can hear through the earbuds, but when you're live with people, you can take an auditory in-breath with your nose. In all likelihood, everybody else will take a breath with you, and that simmers things down, slowing down your pace. These are a few skills that can be really helpful. Another skill or strategy really is the use of what's called a third point. So when you are leading 30 students and you need their attention, using a third point, which is some inanimate object. You're the first point. Students are the second point. This inanimate object, a poster on the wall or something projected on a screen, this is a third point. And now when I look at that third point, combined with an in-breath and a pause, eyes follow eyes. That's fairly universal as well. Actually, that might be a universal thing, that people's eyes follow each other's eyes. So, and let me give you an example of this. If you're at a restaurant or someplace in public and you start looking at something, what will people do? They'll look at that
Yes, they,
something, right?
yeah.
Exactly. So use that, leverage that. That's something that's universal. So when you're trying to lead a group, if you want people to look at this thing, look at it, which is counterintuitive. It's hard as a student teacher, a student leader of the team, you're wanting to look at them, but that confuses their brain. So look at the thing. It feels very awkward. You'll have to practice it. But look at that thing and talk about that thing. They will look at it. So there's a couple of little tips. All that and more is in the Teacher Team Leader Handbook. But seriously, maybe we should collaborate on a Teacher Team Leader Handbook for students.
For sure, we can. Okay. So, sir, Chad, you believe that we can learn by doing. How is it possible?
Learn by doing, absolutely. So yeah, it's that's kind of a basic idea of, like you asked philosophy questions earlier. We don't learn, you don't ask, none of us would go to a heart surgeon and expect a heart surgeon to be able to perform the surgery if they haven't done it before. Would we? Mm-mm. No, 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 no. Because we learn by doing. And so they've practiced before. They practice on simulations, maybe on computers, maybe on fake hearts, maybe on cadavers. All of these practices, learning by doing, leading up to then on a patient. And even on patients, they did it with somebody else guiding them, right? Before they do it independently. So that's just kind of like this a basic premise, is that we learn by doing. Adults learn by doing, students learn by doing, humans, we learn by doing.
Okay, sir. And the last question, when I have asked you to answer me, you have asked me to, like see the people eyes so they can connect with me and focus on me. So, can you do that same in the, large meetings, in the large, public crowd and something like that when you are speaking as an educationalist? So, is it really work?
Is it possible to be able to break eye contact and look at a third point? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And actually, just yesterday, I was presenting in front of, I don't know, 150, 200 people. And anytime that I wanted people to look at the screen, I would look at the screen and I'd stop talking and typically gesture as well. And sometimes I would read a part of it or not, but that's it. And pretty close to universal. People will then stop and look, because the brain notices differences. The brain is hardwired to tell differences, right? And this goes back to our days in the wild when, if you were walking along the beach, your brain was hyper focused on something different. And if, as you were walking along the beach and there's a savanna up above and the grass is waving at a certain frequency, something different in the change, your brain picks it up because that might be a predator. And if your brain doesn't pick it up, you're the predator's next meal. So it's hardwired into our brains to pick up changes. So that simple act of, if you're talking blah, 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 and then you pause, you and your listeners just right now, all your brains all of a sudden started paying attention. What's happening, right? Changes, the brain is hardwired to detect changes. And so use that when you're with people. Yes, absolutely.
It's a great tip for me, and I will follow that in my class because some students are like that who are not following the instructions and who are not paying attention in the class, especially. So this guide helped me a lot. Thank you so
Good.
much for that. Oh,
You
okay.
betcha. Let me know how
Oh,
it goes.
okay, okay. I will message you if there. I will. I will get results, and for sure, I will get results when I do that. So thank you so very much for that tip. Okay. So now, my question is that, what do you believe that what part failure plays in the student's life when they are, struggling in anything and they get failed and. So what do you think, is it okay to be failed in life and in any thing work you have worked hard on that, and if it fails, how we can handle that? Because sometimes we feel demotivated after doing the great work, and we have put it our efforts 100%, and we have give a lot of time to that work, but in the end we fail. So how we can overcome that failure, and how we can handle on that, how we can control our emotions on that. So I want to get tip on that.
Yeah, yeah. So I get to go in a lot of schools, and just about every school, there's some kind of a poster on the wall that says mistakes are the gateway to learning. It relates to learning by doing. We learn more from mistakes. We learn more from failure than we do from successes. So what I think we have to do is help students learn, and adults too. We have to learn this as well, because it's hard in the moment when you're failing at something. We have to help people learn how to be resilient. So setting up ways where we're failing in small ways on the way to bigger successes. And those bigger successes may not always happen, but I think failure, we have to learn how to fail. Um, you know, all of us have had many failures. I can't tell you how many conferences I have proposed to present at that said no. I can't tell you how many jobs I've applied to that didn't even reply back saying no. Like they just ignored me. This is part of life. And so it's an important thing to teach students, and maybe talk about more. This is sometimes we see this facade of somebody who's very successful. There were a lot of failures leading up to that, and you've probably heard the story. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a good story of Thomas Edison. It took 10,000 tries to get to the light bulb. And I think about, like, that's a lot of tries. Like even 10 is a lot of tries. 20, 30, like to get to 10,000 is an easy number to say. That's a hard road to get to 10,000 different tries on something.
Okay, sir. How do you ensure that when you have, when you are speaking in front of 200 people and more than, a large number of people? So how do you ensure that, like, they are engaging on you, they are engaging on your talks, and whatever you are saying, they are paying attention or not? How do you see that, and how do you, uh, if some distraction is here and something happens that can't connect people with you, so how do you overcome that at that point? Because when you are speaking in front of many people, it is not easy to when if if they are not hearing from you whatever you are saying, so it is not a very good impression for you, for others, because and it make feels bad to you also, that you are speaking and you are struggling in speaking, but no one is trying to hear you. So how do you overcome that feeling, and in the starts when you have start speaking in front of a lot of people? So have you experienced that? If that, so how what's your first experience when you see that? And I want to know about that experience and overcoming that solution. I want solution of that.
Yeah. Yes. It's definitely a challenge. And many times when I'm speaking in front of large groups, like, yesterday's large group and other large groups, a lot of the people don't want to be there. So that's an added layer of challenge when people do not want to be there. And they make that very clear in their body language and in their words. And so what I try to do, to me, it's almost like a game, to try to figure out, how do I hook them? So there's a number of ways to do that. And so starting from the very first words out of my mouth is intended to hook them. So one of the ways that I do that, so there's a couple ways. One is a story. I never start, and I don't use the word never very often, but I never start a presentation saying, "Hi, my name is Chad Dumas. Thank you for being here." Nope. I never start with, "How's everybody doing today?" No. I start with, boom, here's the message. So, for example, this is one of the openings that I use in quite regularly. Two of the greatest educational leaders and thinkers of our time are Robert Marzano and Rick DeFore. And they make this claim about education. And then I turn to the screen and read the quote on the screen. So I did several things there, Mehtab, so I'll just make that explicit for you. So first of all, I started with a pause and an auditory in-breath. I had a slow rate of speech. I didn't go quickly, it was a slow rate of speech. So what does that do? When people breathe and pause before they speak, they hallucinate. It's a hallucination, but they hallucinate credibility about you. The weirdest thing, if you pause before speaking, they attribute more credibility to what you're about to say. Remember earlier about the pause, the changes, the brain detects changes. Silence is a change. So we start with a silence, a breath. Two of the greatest educational thinkers and leaders of our time. So I'm starting with a low pace, breathing. I also gesture. I don't know if your listeners can see or not, but I also gesture towards the crowd when I say two of the greatest educational leaders and thinkers of our time. So when you gesture on attributes like greatest educational leaders and thinkers of our time, when you gesture out like that, that is subconsciously attributing those attributes to those people. So I am subliminally attributing greatness, leadership, education. Right there, right? Then I'm taking a third point, going to the screen. Oh. Then I say a few more words, and I have people turn and talk to each other. And usually, and that quote's a pretty like a little bit controversial. Like people are like, yeah, I'm not sure if I agree with this or not. Then they turn to each other and talk. Through that series of things, I've got people breathing together. I've got them looking at the same point. I've got them talking with each other, and I've got them attributing credibility to me and to themselves. Pretty quickly, I'm able to get people to come along. They still don't want to be there. But at least they're looking where I need them to be looking and engaging with somebody next to them. Because here's the fascinating thing, is that people will be rude to you as a presenter. They don't know you. They'll be rude to you. They'll look away, they'll talk, do whatever. But they won't be rude to a person next to them. They'll talk to them about whatever it is supposed to be to talk about because that's next to them. So I leverage that to be able to capture them. And then anytime I'm losing folks, I do something where they turn to each other, talk. That's like the easiest way to get people back is to have them talk to their partner. A few tips there anyway.
So for that and I learned a lot of things from you in this interview. Thank you so very much, Chad Dumas, for guiding me through that.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for
And
having me, sir.
things I have ever taken is the interview of Chad Dumas. Now I can say that to people because you are my favorite mentor. You are my favorite educationalist, and I does not enjoy very much to conversate with something on that type of topic with someone. But I don't know. I have enjoyed so much and it's a pleasure to have you in my studio. I have learned so much from you. Thank you so very much for your time. Thank you for being here. And in the last, I want to ask you any advice you want to give me for betterment for my future, to the audience who are watching this interview and who watch this interview after this live session. So if any advice and any message you want to give in the last of this interview, so you can.
Yeah. Last advice, life will give you challenges. It will throw you curveballs. You will struggle, and that's okay. And that's okay. Everybody will struggle. Keep persevering. There are people who love you and support you, and never give up. Just keep on going and learn from it.
Very much again, Sir Chad Dumas, for being here. It's an pleasure to have you in my studio, and and pleasure for me to interview the personality like the educationalist like you. Thank you so very much for your time and your presence. And it's a pleasure to connect you too. Thank you so very much again. Thanks to our audience who are watching this interview and who want this interview. We will meet in the next interview with another guest and in another live session. Thank you so very much for watching this interview. Take care of yourself. Bye bye. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye.